What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of FitBizU. I'm your host, Jill Coleman, and today is a big day for us because doors are open for FBA. And y'all, I cannot be more excited. This is my favorite week of the year. I get to talk to so many folks who are interested in building their business and walk them through the decision-making process of, do they want to join FBA? Is this the right fit for them? And welcome our new FBA students. So if you are interested in FBA, if you've been thinking about it, if you're on the wait list, if you need post to profits, the link is in the show notes to get started. If you need anything at all, let me know, but I'm pumped because we are doing some early action bonuses. And if you want to run your situation by me, want to have a quick conversation with me, feel free to send me a DM at JillFit. And we can have a quick chat there to make sure FBA is the next right fit for you. But we're opening just for 4 days. So today, if you're listening on the day it drops, it is Monday, February 16th. We are closing doors Thursday, February 19th at midnight Pacific. And I don't know when we are opening again. This is my beginner to online coaching program, online business program. And this is our 13th round. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and check out the sales page. It is at the link in the show notes. I think there's over 100 testimonials in there, everything that you're going to learn, everything you can expect, the solution, the promise, all the good stuff. But feel free to reach out if you need anything. With that being said, today we're getting into what I call the 5 reasons why you cannot afford to wait to start your coaching business, to wait to start. And this is not fake urgency, y'all. I want to talk to you about some real things that are happening in our online space right now and why you can't afford to not start putting your footprint down ASAP. Now, sometimes when I talk about the fact that there is real urgency in this space, people take that to mean like, oh my God, I have to do everything and I have to have the most success as fast as possible. That's not what I'm talking about. At some point, you guys know, at some point you have to pick your pace and make peace with it. What I am talking about is that when you are building an online business based on your personal brand, meaning you, humans connect with humans, people buy coaches, not coaching. It is important that you start getting reps online ASAP because it takes time to build trust with an audience, which means that every single post, every single rep, every single time in the trench, every single time you press publish matters. And you have to start sooner rather than later. One of the things that I do oftentimes with my FBA students, because they just take so much action whenever we work together, is I will ask them towards the end of our time together, what if you hadn't started when you did? And they're like, I couldn't even imagine it, because they look up and they literally have dozens, if not hundreds of posts. And they're like, I can't imagine. I've learned so much. I've implemented so much. I've taken so much action. I can't imagine how far behind I would be if I didn't start, which is why this episode matters. I think oftentimes when we are going to start a business, what I have noticed more and more, and I've done whole episodes on this, what I've noticed more and more is this sort of all or nothing way of thinking when it comes to business. What I mean by that is people will say to me, well, I'm going to start my business in the summer. I'm going to start my business in the fall. I'm going to start my business next month. And as if you are starting a new diet and everything needs to be perfectly in order for you to start it. We see this all the time with our clients. They'll be like, well, I don't want to start my business because I'm going on vacation. And you and I would both be like, well, can you make healthy choices on vacation? It doesn't have to sabotage your vacation. You could still do it, right? But for whatever reason, people think they need to have a last supper and they need everything to be perfect and the kids are in school and like whatever. They need the perfect circumstances to start. And the same thing I'm starting to see with business owners. They're like, well, I can't do FBA because the kids are on spring break that week. And I'm like, okay, well, you can't do anything because during week number 7, you're not gonna be able to be on the call? Like, what are we talking about? Online business it's creating a show of evidence. At its core, it is creating a show of evidence that you are someone safe to invest with and that you have the solution that they need. And in order for people to know you, like you, and trust you, and get to the point of trusting you to that level where they want to part with their dollars, they need to see a lot of consistency with you. So what I don't want is you're like, I have this big dream to start this business, but I'm going to put it off until the summer because that's a better time to start. It's like every little bit counts. Is exactly what you would say to your client. We're like, okay, well, you can't be perfect, but like, could you, instead of going 10,000 steps, could you do like 8,000 steps? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, okay, great, let's do that. Oh, you can't, get, 150 grams of protein. Well, can you get 100? That's better than getting none or getting 70. Yes, I can. So it's the same advice we give our clients. Every little bit counts. And it's the exact same online when you are in the trust business. So let's get into these 5 things. Number one, hands down, the space is becoming more sophisticated. It's becoming more saturated as well. We'll talk about what sophisticated means here in a second. You've heard me say this before. There are more coaches online today than there were yesterday. There will be more coaches online tomorrow than there are today. However, one thing that we forget is that coaches leave the space. So not everyone wants to have their own business. And we had a lot of people come online during the pandemic. And it's what I call the pandemic boomerang, where people came online and it was kind of like everything you touch turns to gold. And people were putting out offers, and a lot of people were at home on Zoom and they were just spending money and whatever. Then fast forward a couple of years and it got harder, not because it's harder now, but because the sort of unicorn years of the pandemic are no longer with us. And so oftentimes people are like, well, now I see what it's really like, and I would rather just have a job. And that's cool too. Totally fine. But what is happening online right now is that people, when I say people, I mean clients, potential clients, are looking for the exact right coach for them. And they don't have to settle anymore. So they don't have to work with that like bro marketing coach that like everyone goes to anymore, because they have the pick of the litter. There are so many different coaches. There's so many different business coaches, fitness coaches, health coaches. So many of my clients have niched down to the point where they are the go-to person for a specific thing. One of my clients last year was a chiropractor for pole dancers. Y'all, it has gotten so niche. And it has to be niche. That's what I mean by sophisticated. People are looking for the exact right coach for them. If you want to have success online, it is paramount that you niche down faster. And the longer you wait, the more niched you are going to have to be. The longer you wait to start, the more niched you're going to have to be. And by the way, you guys, when I say niche, oftentimes people get scared, like, what are my niches? So I don't want to start my business because I don't have my niches. And they use it as an excuse from starting. And it's actually the opposite. It's actually the exact opposite of that. The way that you find your niche is through taking action, through taking messy action. That's the way that you actually come about and go, oh, actually, my niche is this. And you won't know unless you have reps. So number one, the space is becoming more sophisticated. And the longer you wait, the more niche down you're going to have to be. Like me in 2010, y'all, I didn't have to be niche down. I do now. I'm getting even more niche now. But I didn't have to be in 2010. There was only like maybe, I don't know, I was probably one of a handful of female business coaches at that time online. I was maybe one of a couple dozen female fat loss coaches online. Now, of course, within my space. And now, of course, there's an infinite amount. And so even at JillFit, even with the amount of trust that we built and the brand that we built and all that kind of stuff, I still have to continue to get more dialed in my messaging. And that will only get more and more. So starting sooner rather than later helps you build that asset. Number two reason you can't afford to wait is because the algorithm right now is favoring smaller accounts. Never before in history of social media has the algorithm put posts in front of people who don't follow you. This is amazing to me. As much as people complain about the algorithm and getting no views and having crickets and all this kind of stuff and getting like no likes. When I was getting started, and I sound like an old person every time I say that, by the way, I'm like, I wanted it back in my day, but only the people who followed you, and up until even a couple of years ago, only the people who followed you would see your posts. Now, I know we can say like, gee, I wish the people following me actually saw my posts. But if you want to grow on Instagram, you want to grow on Facebook, you want to grow on TikTok, never has there been a time in social media where literally these platforms will take your content and parse it out to non-followers right away. The second you press publish, it gets sent out to people who don't follow you. That is amazing to me. Same thing with trial reels. Are you kidding me? Trial reels, you can put a reel together and it will literally just show it to people who don't follow you. If you are trying to grow on these platforms, you have got to be doing this strategy. I cannot believe that this exists. So smaller accounts, and they've even said this, especially on Instagram, accounts with less than 10,000 followers are getting priority. It is actually harder if you have a larger following to grow. And your reach is actually lower if you have a larger following. I have FBA students all the time who are just like one reel pops off and then all of a sudden all these opportunities start happening. And they'll come into the Facebook group and they'll be like, how do I capitalize on this? I'm getting all these new people. What do I do? It takes one video, one reel going viral, one carousel going viral to blow up your account. That was never the case before. So right now, and this will change, by the way, which is why I'm saying start now, because now is the opportunity. This will change in some way, shape, or form. The algorithm always changes. It uses what's called intermediate reward, meaning it will reward something, but then it won't reward you anymore. And because it wants you to keep coming back. It's kind of like playing the slot machine in Vegas. You like put your money in, put your money in, put your money in, and then like every once in a while you win and you're like, ah, and you kind of start to feel like your next win is around the corner. Whenever I have clients going viral, they'll say like, now I'm back to my normal views. And it kind of gives me this feeling of like, it's a dopamine hit, right? You're like, let me post more to maybe get that high again, maybe get the dopamine hit again. It's by design. Never before has the algorithm been prioritizing smaller accounts and pushing your content out immediately so people don't follow you so you can grow. It will change because it always changes. So take advantage of it now. The third reason why you can't afford to wait to start your business is because reps in time online matters. Your online brand, your personal brand, is an asset. What I mean by an asset is it only gets stronger over time. So if it only gets stronger over time, then the argument would be that you need to start sooner rather than later. Trust takes time to build with an audience. You guys have heard me this from day one. I've been talking about this. When you have a brand that is an asset, what I mean by an asset is knowing that you have built enough trust that you have broken through what we call the trust barrier or the trust threshold. When you break through the trust threshold, on the other side of that is a level of certainty, safety, and predictability in your business. So for example, once my clients get to the point where they have broken through the trust barrier, they've been doing it enough, they've been online for enough times, enough years, enough months, they've posted enough times, they've done enough launches, whatever, opportunities start to come to them without having to fight tooth and nail. But more importantly, there is always a guarantee that when you do a promotion, you will make sales. When you do a promotion, you will make sales. There is a guarantee of it. The days of you putting something out there and getting crickets is over. Why? Because the depth of connection and the depth of trust that you've built with an audience is an asset that shows up when you promote something. We're going to be doing a new offer at JillFit this year. We did a new offer last year, and we just did a waitlist launch for the Strategy Lab, and we converted at over 10% from our waitlist to our main launch for our sales. And I could not have done that if I hadn't been building trust with an audience and have all these people who had already had reps with me, had already bought from me, had been customers for me. So we're doing a new launch this year and we know what's going to sell. Number one, we know what our clients need. Number two, we know what we're the best at. Number three, we have the safety and security of knowing that we built a brand with folks and we have years and years of evidence that people get results. And that's what I'm talking about. And it takes time and reps to build that level of trust and push through the trust barrier, which means we need to start sooner rather than later. Number 4 reason why you can't afford to wait is the sooner you start, the sooner you gain mastery. This is so important, y'all. And I want to give you this insight. This is just very open and very transparent. When I was getting started online, of course, I had been a personal trainer, group fitness instructor. I had a master's degree in nutrition. I felt like I was an expert in that. I knew that if we talk about like coaching itself being a little bit of a skill, especially coaching online, that's a skill. And I wasn't good at that until I had more reps. But when I came online, like I pretty much knew if someone wanted to lose body fat, I could help them. Like I was like, okay, I've done this a million times. I did this in person for years and years and years. Like I knew how to get someone a result. I felt like I had a depth of mastery when it came to that. But when I launched my first business mentorship in 2012, I wasn't an expert in business. I knew what had worked for me, but I didn't know theory. I had not had a lot of experience in the trenches with business clients. I was just like, hey, this will work for me. Why don't you try it? Now, it still makes me an expert, by the way. It's what we call a role model expert, but I didn't have mastery in business. Now, fast forward 13 years, I've literally worked with over 3,000 business owners. And that's just not like DIY, it's like in the trenches business owners. So I feel like at this point, I have mastery when it comes to business. I understand all the moving parts. I have a deep level of mastery. And when I pick my own mentors, my own business coaches, I want them to have mastery too. I don't want them to just be good at one little shiny thing, like one little funnel or whatever. They have to have a deep understanding and mastery and be a subject matter expert. The faster you start, the sooner you start to gain mastery because of the competency confidence loop. The more experience you have, the more clients you take on, the more people you coach, the more time in the trenches, the more posts that you put up, the more, feedback that you get, the more you learn. And as you start to learn, you start to get better at the skill. And as you start to get better at the skill, you start to gain confidence that I know if a client shows up that I can get them a result. You don't have that confidence when you're getting started. You're like, I hope I can get a client a result. It is only with time and reps and client reps and clinical reps that you start to feel like, okay, actually, I'm an expert. I'm confident I can sit on a Zoom call and people can just direct business questions to me for hours and I will have an answer because I'm like, either we've done it or I've done it with another client, I've done it with 100 clients. So that level of mastery doesn't come from theory alone. It comes from getting in the trenches and building your confidence. And when you build your confidence, you take more action. You take more action, you gain more clarity, and you become more competent. And you have a level of proficiency that you can't get otherwise. Last but not least, number 5, reason why you can't afford to wait to start your business is because more and more clients are having poor experiences with other coaches. I hate this so much. This is actually fairly new for me in the last couple of years. You guys have heard me talk about this before, where when we launch FBA, we'll have people say like, hey, Jill, I feel like you're my person, but I'm still paying someone else. Or I just really had this other business coach that just like burned me. And I just like, I'm like gun shy. And so what that means for you as a coach is now you are coming into an online space where a lot of times people have already had experiences with fat loss coaches, health coaches, fitness coaches, nutrition coaches. They've maybe already had an experience. Maybe that experience has not been good. Or maybe it worked for a time and it stopped working. And so they're bringing that baggage to you. And so right now, maybe the people you're having sales calls with or having sales conversation with, maybe they have 1 or 2 bad experiences. A year from now, they might have 2 or 3. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, they may come with you with 10 bad experiences. And what this means for you as a coach and also as a marketer is you have to get even better at business skills because you have to message why you're different. Not only from the 1 or 2 bad experiences, but the 10 other experiences that they've had that have been poor experiences. So you have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself. And this is, of course, a business skill. Like, how do I talk about my services so that someone feels like what I do is different and better than all the bad experience they've had? You're up against. That's what you're selling. You're not selling your program. You're selling how you are different. And we are starting to see this more and more in health, fitness, and business as well, that people are coming in with baggage. And the longer you wait, the more you're going to be up against this objection. And also you're not learning the skill of overcoming that objection. I know you guys are here because you want to do good work. You would not be listening to this podcast if you did not care about doing good work with your clients. And so now that we know, the longer we wait, the more the potential clients who are coming to us are going to have bad experiences. They have a whole bag of bad things that have happened, reasons to wait, reasons to say no, objections to working with you. And it's not that you never want to force or manipulate. Of course, we're not in the business of doing that, but you do need to showcase why you are different. And you need the practice of messaging that. And the faster you get started, the fewer poor experiences your potential clients will have had. And that's just the reality where we're at, which I hate. But that's why it's important that we do our homework. All of us, by the way. That's why whenever I have a business mentor, I want to know like, hey, how many years have you been doing this? What's your level of mastery? Show me the testimonials, show me the referrals. By the way, any good coach, especially any good business coach who has mastery, should be able to give you a laundry list of referrals. These are people who work with me. These people gotten great results. These are people who I didn't tell them what to do. Go ask them questions. They'll be honest with you. I know this rubs people the wrong way when I say this. Sometimes I'm like, any good coach will have a list of clients they'll send you to. If you're a new coach, you don't have those. I'm not saying you're a bad coach. I'm just saying you need to get reps. So maybe you do need to do something like beta testing. We have a whole module in FBA on beta testing. Like, how do you do that to start getting some social proof? Everyone starts with no clients. And I'm speaking directly to you, if you are thinking about hiring a business coach or signing up or enrolling in a business mentorship, you should sign up with people who have had clients. I'm just going to say that. Do not be someone's first business coach. That shit might be cheap, but I promise you, you are going to regret it. And we all start somewhere. I hate that, like, we all have to start somewhere. But when it comes to business, you do want someone who has experience. And it's funny, it's just timely because we had an early enrollment or a waitlist enrollment for FBA. And I did like a meet and greet this past week with the gals who enrolled early. And one of them literally said, I was thinking about joining FBA last time, but I ended up going with someone else who was cheaper and I really regretted it. And I hate that for her. I just absolutely hate when people waste their time and money but you get what you pay for, y'all. And so do your homework. And this is the same thing we need to be telling our own clients. Do your homework. If you have no clients and you're like, Jill, I feel like, like this, does this leave me with nothing? Because I've never, maybe you have clients in person you can send them to, right? Maybe you've worked in person, maybe no online clients. Maybe you have some character references. You have people who just said, I work with Jill in person and she was great, or she did this or whatever. Or you have none of that and you have to do beta testing. You have to take on some clients for free. I hate to say it, but like you got to start somewhere. And so the more people come in to your space, you're going to get on these coaching calls and they're going to have had more and more bad experiences, or experiences where they did waste time, money, they fell off, they ghosted, they disengaged, whatever it is. And that's going to be your mess to clean up. It's going to be your objection to overcome. It's going to be your marketing job to elucidate the value of what you do, away from and pivot away from all of the bad experiences they've had, which is why on sales calls, one of my favorite questions for you guys to ask is like, hey, what have you done in the past that hasn't worked? Because we have to pivot away from what they've done that hasn't worked. What was the thing? What was the reason why they didn't get a result with that coach? What was the reason why that app didn't work? What was the reason why that nutrition philosophy didn't work for them? Let's get down to that so that we can pivot away from it and not do the same thing. Good? All right, y'all. My voice is going because I just got off the 2-hour call for Post to Profits. But if you're interested in FBA and you have questions, feel free to DM me at JillFit. Doors close this coming Thursday, February 19th. And I cannot wait to welcome all of the new students who are going to be getting started with me. We're getting started right away. If you have any questions, let me know. And I will see you there. Bye, guys.